Emily's going to talk to you guys about phoning. To someone who sold 24K during her SE2 push last year. And it was more than what, doubling your sales?
Yeah.
She doubled her sales.
15 to 39.
15K to 39K in sales, just over SE2 push. There's her paycheck. She made $8,800 in 17 days last summer, and now she's a branch manager. Let's give it up for Emily.
Okay, so I'm talking about phoning. I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. Biggest thing, as I was phoning in there, is gratitude. You want to make sure the frequency of it is before and after. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones, for taking my call. Really appreciate it. Go into it. At the end, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this helps me out. I really do appreciate it. And you can say appreciation in 3 different ways, all at the back end of it. And then sometimes I even text them afterwards. 90% of the time, I text them afterwards, say, again, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me. And then they're like, okay, wow, this is a really big deal to her. Because if it's a big deal to her, then she's less likely to reschedule. And I'm more passionate about it. So it's like, okay, do I go to the grocery store and reschedule, or do I stay with my husband and we do this for her? And then she ends up buying a signature.
Nice.
Number 2, right away, if you're calling recommendations, you want to make that connection. So you don't want to be like, Tom, hello, because people are on the already very standoffish when you're calling, because at least for me, if somebody calls me and I don't know who they are, I'm going to assume that they're like a robocaller or a telemarketer or somebody who's about to try to get into my PayPal or something. So you want to make sure you're like, hey, Mrs. Jones, this is Emily. I'm Michelle's daughter. You actually worked with her 10 years ago, right away. You want to minimize the amount of time that you break between answering the call and having them click of, oh, I know this person. Oh my gosh, it's Emily. And then their whole tone changes. Number 3, make sure you're going through the whole script with a really good pace. You don't want to be too slow so that they can interrupt you and ask all these questions. You want to make sure, hey, Mrs. Jones, so what I'm doing this over the summers, I'm actually da 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 da. You want to go all the way through at a good pace so that you're not going too fast and they can understand, but you're not going too slow where she's like, how long is it going to take? What is Cutco? All this stuff. You don't want that. Going all the way through, good pace, no room for interruption. Something that I do, Mrs. Jones, okay, so we're going to see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. If you can go ahead, get a pen out. I actually have a code for you. So go ahead, put down 5 o'clock for tomorrow. And then our code, we probably won't need it, but it's 56Y9. 56Y9. And then you're like, and then you literally hear them write it. And it's like, okay, they're probably writing down the date and time with it too. So that's really good. I barely ever get reschedules. I think I've literally had maybe 20 and I've done 200 demos. So not a lot. Reschedules, not a lot of cancellations either. And then you can also say at the end, and after the 56Y9, can you go ahead and put a smiley face and circle it so you know who to expect at your door or on the call. That makes it it's a little bit cheesy, but it sets the tone for when you walk into the door, who they should expect and how it's going to be a good time. It's not going to be a daunting experience. Again, you want to make sure if they say how long will it take, you can also make it lighthearted. Yeah, it'll be 5-6 hours. I'll bring my sleeping bag and we can have a bunch of fun. And then, oh, I'm just kidding. I know Xander, maybe I heard you guys both the phone jam say that one. I really liked that. Sometimes I forget to say it. So that's a really, really good one. Some sarcasm in there. And then always just make sure, this is basic tips, but husband and wife together, otherwise you're going to get reschedules. And then I want to make sure that you're saying the date and time at least 3 times on the phone. At least 3 times. Okay, Mrs. Jones, you said tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Okay, so tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I'm putting that in right now. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And it sounds repetitive, but I don't know. I've been scheduling my own doctor's appointments since I was 16. I don't know how many times you realize, but they literally say the date and time of when your appointment is 4 or 5 times. Why? Because they want you to remember it. And you're not going to remember it if you just say, okay, 5 o'clock. And then you say, thank you so much. And then hit end the call. You have to say it over and over and over again until it registers. Okay. So 3+ times. That's pretty much it.
Cool. Let's give it up for Emily.